here. Sorry. Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. Waiting to hear myself. Sorry, this is how we do around here. I should not talk for the beginning, maybe. I sound kind of stupid. Whoa, God, that guy's loud. What the hell with that guy? You know what I mean, guys? It's like, shut the fuck up. Anyway, how is everyone doing? I am very happy to be here. We have Not Plausible, Jacob Shelter, Jordan Solafalo, Chili Cap. I don't know if Chili Cap, that's a cool name. Austin, Nathaniel Fogel, Jorge Nina Espinoza, Catbot, Twisted Razor, Cornbread, Purple Goop. Audio sounds like scripts. That's good. Jacob Shelter, Javier Portello, Ryan Walterson. Whoa! K-Master, sorry. Is Zane Powers here? I don't know. Guy named Crystal, Sunspawn Mill, Paul Blart, Mallards crossover universe then. Oh, we're starting off with this super chat right away. Sounds like I should cut to me right here. How's it going? This is my face, as you know. Thank you, Bloxy Oxenwinkle, for starting off. And I haven't responded to your... cheers to you, Bloxy. Hey, Sean Brewer, Edwin Ramirez. Zane Powers is there. Sean Bauer, Edward Ramirez, Tanner Lands. How's it going? I hadn't responded. Sorry, Bloxy Oxenwinkle. I hadn't responded to your idea of a Paul Blart, Mall Cop and Mallrats crossover. I think that's actually a really good idea. I like that idea. And wouldn't that be the only way to continue either franchise? Is to have both be with each other? I think that's the only way you can do it. You know what I mean? I'm glad people like my shirt. It's one of my shirts I got from my birthday. I'm kind of just like every movie crap. I have another cool shirt. And I almost did that today, but I was like, you know what? We got to make these shirts last as many as we can. And I actually now I was going to tell Ryan this, but it's not a big secret news. I also bought a black t-shirt specifically to do every show ever because I used to use my Batman Bartman shirt because it's black up until lower, and now I specifically, all $3. The show's going... my YouTube channel's blowing up. I bought an Amazon shirt for $3. Anyway, thank you, Black Oxenwinkle. Jim, can I buy you the special edition Arrow video Blu-ray? Well, please don't. You can buy it for yourself if that's what you would like. If that's what you would like, you should buy it. I'm sorry if I shout on everyone's... I feel like bad because I know people like Mallrats. I guess I'm not as into it. I did not get it at MomoCon, actually. I got it for my birthday. Did I get anything at the Cartoon Network store? You know what's funny? If I went now, is it even open? Anyway. Alright. So, what should we talk about before we get to it? Well, so Sophie's gotten into, Dragon Riders. Rescue Riders. And she's really into that, and I've actually gotten her... I'm going to talk about the Discord. Don't worry. I haven't gotten to that part. So I've gotten her into How to Train Your Dragon because I saw the first one. That took a little bit because the first time she was too little, and then she liked it, and then when I'd wear my Toothless shirt, you've probably seen me wear it before, she'd go, oh, that's Toothless. And I was like, okay, all right. So we're going to watch 2. We watched 2. That went well. I think that movie's like... I like that movie, but it's a little like there's way too much going on, and it's a little like uneven in parts. But I still, at the end, I was like, I don't know, I still really like it. It's a messy movie that I'm just down with, and the visuals are just crazy. I just love the visuals in that, and so like we had to watch it on Blu-ray. But there's so many times there's like something going on in the background and the foreground, just like and I wish I got to see that in IMAX. Hello, Paleo, how's it going? Paleo is here. I used to watch Riders of Berk. You know, the other thing I was thinking about when I was watching How to Train Your Dragon 2 is I wish there was a show that really filled in the gap of how that society changed from what it was in 1 to 2 and what that was like, because they don't really do that in Riders of Berk, I don't believe. And I feel like there's like an actual narrative thing you could do with that series, but whatever. Peacock, I'm looking at you. But yeah, I'm watching a lot of Rescue Riders, which is not... the best show. It's basically, I think I talked about this when I was on the POS podcast, which was awesome. Am I okay? I think I'm okay. I hope I'm okay. Yeah, Rescue Riders. It's basically about these kids, and they can understand the dragons, like hear them speaking like humans and stuff. It's mad stupid. And there's one where like a singing dragon hypnotizes them all. I've had to watch that like 7 times because Sophie's so into it. So Rescue Riders is pulling all the stops. When are we getting the critic reboot starring Jim? Paleo is really into this idea. If anyone, if you can get this picked up, Paleo. Paleo brought this up, by the way, in his video about cartoons that need a reboot. So Paleo, if you can get the critic starring me picked up by Netflix or something, I will gladly do it. That would be cool. Yeah. Oh, it's voiced by Steven. Okay. Steven, your friend, or like... I know which Steven. Steven is friend. Everyone's gonna go... Yeah. Okay, anyway. Oh, did the tweet send out? It did. Okay. Alright. And apparently Ryan Walterson can actually see Sponge on the Run. So I'm curious about what he's gonna think of Sponge. He gets Sponge on the Run before all of us. Wait, Rescue Riders is basically Paw Patrol but with dragons? How dare you? Is that true though? I don't really watch Paw Patrol. It's fine. Just don't have to think about that. Hey, Medela Butterfly's here. Okay. So before we do have a bunch of things, but yes, I did return to the POS podcast this past week. That was awesome. This week has been crazy, so it almost feels like, was that this week? No, there's no news on the Minecraft movie this week. I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. Also, my friend Matt, there's going to be a lot of segments today. I'm reviewing the Adventure Time pilot, as well as doing a TV movie premiere of Mallrats, which I'll get into why I did that. And I'm doing Tubi Recommendations with Matt Berry. Matt Berry has a new short out. You should check it out. You should be subscribing to Matt Berry anyway. He puts out some great stuff. I was in one of his shorts. I'm usually in his shorts. I'm not in this one. Scared to Death 2. It's pretty cool. Check it out on his channel. I'm probably going to tweet that out later. I just wanted to big up to him because I think he makes some good stuff, and I was like working, and I want to support him. Anyway, before we get into the rest of the show, if you like hang out in the chat and you like, did I say Adventure Time? Did I not say Adventure Time? I thought I said Adventure Time. Adventure Time. I love Adventure. Sorry, I'm reading Paleo. I'm reading the chat that you can all see. So anyway, if you enjoy what's going on in the chat or want to interact with me and don't get to be here live on the show, or just like being here during live on the show and like to interact with this awesome community that watches the show, you should go to and sign up for my Discord, which has a lot of great channels, including suggestions for Jim, where you can suggest stuff for me to check out or review at some point, or just review on this show or review in general, as well as Ask Jim. I always try to answer all those questions. In fact, I'm going to answer all of them later tonight after I've done all the time code stuff for this show. And then yeah, they have a lot of good channels. In fact, actually, I post things like what I'm going to review on the show earlier on the Discord, and even ask like, what stories do you guys want me to talk about more so, and that actually helped me today quite a bit, actually kind of organize the show better. So if you want to be more involved and stuff, and it's easy and it's totally free, is the Discord, and you should totally do it. Zane Power and Austin do an amazing job. Also, all of my stuff, every video I make pretty much is supported by viewers like you, either through the super chats during the show, or through my Patreon, which has lots of exclusive content, including every episode of my public access TV show is only available, at least on demand, because they apparently still play it actually, through my Patreon, as well as you get like weekly, you get an exclusive video, and more Power in the Movie review vote and all that. But all that support, and the novelty playing, sorry, Cornbread threw me off. But thank you very much. If you're financially able to support me and help me be able to make more content and more videos, I thank you very much for doing so. It's the support is really thankful, and hopefully I'll be able to get a new computer and a new mic. I think I need to get a new mic. Anyway, I need to get new equipment. So if you'd like me to do that, that's another reason for the support. And thank you very much for doing so. It's always fun, and it also is fun in the show when that happens. So anyway, I'm going to get to kind of the fun. I want to kick it off with the fun story I saw, which is like a true story I've heard from people, and I just think this is funny. I think it's hilarious. No, don't feel sorry, Corporate. The novelty playing card chat is like, if you ever want to know, I'm always playing with cards. Actually, playing with random Stimpy cards, not to be political. I always buy a bunch of novelty cards at MomoCon. And I don't know. I hope that doesn't bother or offend anyone, but anytime I have new novelty playing cards, which I usually just flip and shuffle quite a bit all the time, then I post it on that chat. So anyway, it's silly, but I like it. My wife was like, "Is that really a chat on your Discord?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "That's very you." So anyway, first story, I have like a couple. Well, at least I have this fun story, and I'm sort of reading this off my screen, off an interview quote, but it's funny. The Observer asked Noel Gallagher. He said, "Ricky Gervais told me there's a story that Liam thinks Spinal Tap are a real band. Is that true?" And I love this. Noel Gallagher. "Yeah, he thought they were real people. We went to see them in Carnegie Hall. Before they played, they came out as 3 folk singers from A Mighty Wind. We were laughing, and he said, 'This is shit.' We said, 'No, those 3 are in Spinal Tap.' You do not know that they are American actors? They're not a real band. They're not even English. One of them is married to Jimmy Lee Curtis. I'm not fucking..." And then he says, "I'm not fucking having it," he says. He walks off right up in the middle of Carnegie Hall. He never watched Spinal Tap since. He'd seen the film and loved it and thought they were a real band. So, Noel Gallagher said Liam Gallagher thought Spinal Tap was a real band. Yep. I just wanted to share that because it's just so funny. It's like he was like, "No, they're real," and he was like, "No, what?" It's like, how did you not? Anyway. Anyway, all right, sorry. I just wanted to share that. So, one thing, and Austin reminded me of this, and it kind of went under the radar, even though everyone loves Close Enough, but I want to start off one of this show on it, because we sort of forgot about it last week, is Close Enough was announced through J.G. Quintel's Twitter that has been renewed for a season 2 on HBO Max. We don't have any other information about where the show's going to go, if it's going to be guest stars, anything like that kind of stuff. But we do know that it has been picked up for season 2. I will review Happy Happy Joy Joy, by the way. I'm planning on doing that next week. I've seen a couple of those in the chat. That is a plan I'm going to do, just to bring that up, and just to answer that question. But Close Enough, I am excited for this because I felt like the show was going to be was kind of finding itself on at the end of season 1, and kind of like explaining those characters better. And I'm actually very optimistic about season 2 after season 1. And I think if it's more like the end of season 1, you could have a really phenomenal season 2, and it could really kick things off for that show. I'm really excited for season 2. Actually, I think even if you weren't into season 1, I think season 2, at least where they're standing right now, especially because, part of season 1 is they were developing it, but they're not developing it like a normal show where, like, even with an animated show, you sort of get the vibe of what people are liking or aren't liking, and through the way it does that, that they take that, Louis C.K. It took me a while, St. Paris, to get that. Take that, you're right. Fuck Louis C.K. There you go, St. Paris. Cheers to you. But yeah, I think there's, obviously more to do. I hope they make more 90s references and all that stuff. Give us a PBG reboot that's actually good. That would be cool too. So, when I was looking at the chat while I was setting up, I noticed a lot of talk on this story, and I think it is probably one of the biggest stories of the week, I would say. And that is the creators of the animated original Avatar: The Last Airbender have left the live-action adaptation the live-action Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender that was being developed. They have left it over creative differences. Now, there was, and I retweeted it, and I've since tweeted something that was wrong, that they left because of casting and things like that. We don't really know, by the way, what exactly happened other than creative differences, but this is not a good sign at all, especially considering what happened with, the M. Night Shyamalan thing, which that did not work out really, at all. That was very bad. And you'd think, because Netflix seems to be doing really well with Avatar: The Last Airbender, they wouldn't want to fuck around with the fandom right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part of this that I find so bizarre, because as I've said before, I don't like their top 10 things. I don't like the idea of it. Like, we don't really know what the data is on there. However, if they control that stuff, they're still putting Avatar in the top 10 very regularly. Korra, last I saw, was like in the top 5. So clearly Avatar's really working for them. So you'd think that they would go and say, oh, hey, maybe we should, make as faithful of an adaptation as possible. Now, hearing the kind of rumored allegations, I said on that it was kind of like, I'd assume because so many streaming services want something to be like Game of Thrones, basically. So many streaming services like Amazon Prime, for example, with their Lord of the Rings series, and others want there to be kind of like this breakout show, like Game of Thrones was, which was like a huge, phenomenally successful show. But I would actually argue that you shouldn't be looking at that, because one, that ended up not working out in the long run. But also, I think, look at what happened with Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is still why people why people sign up for Disney Plus. It's still one of the big reasons. It's still a huge show. I've talked to so many people who are like, I finally watched Mandalorian, and damn, that's really good. You should get Disney Plus for that. Like, that's one of those shows. And the difference between Game of Thrones and Mandalorian is kind of all audience, and Game of Thrones isn't. And I think it's entertainment, and I'm not, like, I don't think everything should be all audience, actually, by the way. I think depending on the kind of content you're covering and so forth. But I think Avatar had that accessibility if you didn't fuck around with it. Now, I don't really understand, some people said, well, Netflix has more of a track record with live action series than the guys who make the Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I was like, I guess, but I think it is, and maybe that's true. Maybe their ideas were like real bad, and they were like, yo, this sucks. Because the allegation has been brought up that M. Night brought up that when they said, when the M. Night movie happened, they said that they gave notes and their ideas weren't heard, but M. Night has come back and said, actually, I did listen to your ideas and I used them, and this movie still sucked, so what's up with that? So I think there's some people saying, like, maybe these guys like didn't really know what they were doing, and Netflix sniffed it out. Sophie would love Game of Thrones. You know what? My wife really was more into that show than me, so I feel like at some point she'll end up. I don't know. You know what? That's an interesting point about Zane Powers. This you side tangent me. Is that I wonder if that show knows anything about if that show will last that long up until when she can actually watch it. That's a curious thought. But thank you. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. Thank you for the super chat. It's very nice of you. What I think, honestly, is if I got Red Bull in my eye. Whoa, I can see through time. No, sorry, that was stupid. But what I think with Avatar, if you're going to do an adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's live action, there is so much bad blood and ill will with the fans with that. You don't want this kind of PR, right? So to me, unless they were asking for something or it was really out of line, which you should have taken care of at this point, they didn't. And they've let this blow out of proportion and become much a bigger news story than it really should have been. They should have taken care of this. And honestly, they should just make like the correct Avatar: The Last Airbender thing. But by the way, I don't think this should be made. I think it is a terrible idea for for a live action series. Like, I don't want an Avatar that Last Airbender live action series. I just want Avatar the Last Airbender, which I need to rewatch because I don't remember it very well. I watched it. I don't know if I've seen every one. I need to do that. But it's just like, to me, like when I look at that show, I'm like, why would you need a live action one? To me, it's like, if you're going to do one, why don't you have one take place in that world that's live action, much like The Mandalorian? I feel like there's things you could do, but I don't think that's the one to do it. Ran Sam Film. Nice to see you, man. It says, sad you unlisted the MomoCon video featuring Cosmodor. To reference that is still in the playlist for my convention and journal videos. So you can watch it there if you would like, but content warning about that. And anyway, I'll figure out what I'm doing with that later. But cheers to you, Ran Sam Film. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. I hope you're doing well, sir. All right. But I never wanted this show, by the way, and it just sounds like this show that we never wanted and had no real use for now sounds like super, like we never need to have it ever. Like this should never happen. This should just like it shouldn't have happened before, and now it extra shouldn't have happened. And I don't like this whole thing. Like, but what if it was live action? I'm like, unless it's Speed Racer or there's a cool take on it, or you get a cool director, and it's that director coming to it and saying like, I'm going to do a neat thing with it. Like if we got M. Night Shyamalan. No, I'm saying like if we got someone who, like Speed Racer was a cool take and did something interesting with it, or Popeye, which is another one I always say, Robert Altman's Popeye. If you're doing something interesting with it and it had a reason to adapt it into live action, but if it's just like, hey, what if this thing was in live action? I just don't see the point of it, and most of those aren't good. To be honest, the only one I really like of the Disney ones is Pete's Dragon. I know people like some of the others, but I'm not really as into those. But I do like Pete's Dragon a lot, actually. I think of rewatching that. But most of the live-action adaptations of animation are fucking garbage and are just cash grabs. And that's why even Mulan is doing the $30 thing, because they those things make money at the box office and then don't make shit later. Like, nobody sees those. How many people are actually talking about the Aladdin live action with Will Smith once it got on Disney Plus? Like, it was like that weekend, and then it was like poof, it was gone because nobody cares, because those things are awful. But oh, hey, John Barton, thank you for the super chat. Why haven't you got to the fact that they are also still making Cowboy Bebop One Piece and Sword Art Online? I didn't know about Sword Art Online. That's true. I've heard like mixed things about the Cowboy Bebop thing, but people claim it might be good. I don't think it'll be good. But anyway, I don't like any of the live action. I didn't like Death Note, so I mean, I don't know. I like the John Cho. I like him, but God, why do we remake anime? Like, are you ever going to be better than Speed Racer? What's the point? Anyway, I'm sorry. You guys have gotten me on a tirade here, but thank you, John Barton. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. And Ransam Film says, we need to jam to some Volta sometime. That would be cool, man. That would be cool. And thank you again for another super chat. Hope you're doing good. Oh, love some more Volta. I need to listen to... Man, I used to listen to Francis the Mute too many times. Black's the Occipital, but Jim, don't you remember Ghost in the Shell? Well, the problem is, Blacksy, I do, and I remember it too well. And, God, Ghost in the Shell. Cheers to you. I actually saw that. Sophie saw that because we saw it in a baby movie, and we just go to any movie that would do the things you can take a baby, and they had Ghost in the Shell, and I was like, well, I guess want to see this. I should have reviewed just the anime. I actually saw that in theaters, believe it or not. Anyway, let's move on because I'm angry. Basically, here's my main thing. Sorry, you're watching me. Don't like the John Cho. Okay, I will say I really like John Cho, and I'm sort of open to at least watching a Cowboy Bebop because of him. But everything else, like, I just like, if it was a big director, if they had a reason, like, I've always thought, like, why do we? Here's the thing about Akira. I'll bring the Akira thing into it. Is like, you could make a series of Akira that could like probably be as popular as Game of Thrones, and make it live action. Just do the whole manga instead of the movie. Like, have a different reason for adapting it. But that's the other thing with the Avatar. It's like, what's different about it? I just, like, that's to me, like, do something different if you're going to adapt it. Because, like, I've already seen it. It's just, anyway, I'm going to stop. I feel like any live action remake review from me is just like, what's the point of this? I don't get it. And it's just me saying that a bunch. So I like Edge of Tomorrow, Disco Spider. All right, so this was kind of crazy news. So there's going to be on Disney Plus this Christmas, I guess, a Lego Star Wars holiday special. Now, when you hear that, you'd think, oh, so is it an interpretation of the classic Star Wars holiday special, the greatest holiday special of all time, of course. Is it going to be that? No, it is the people from the sequel trilogy doing something on Life Day, kind of referencing the Star Wars holiday special. Now, what strikes me as odd is it was like, so basically, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? True, Zane Powers. Cheers to you. So, basically, here's what Disney's doing. Sorry, I don't know why St. Powers made me laugh there. Basically, the Star Wars Holiday Special is not released on Disney+. It is not commercially available. Disney has gotten so used to selling off of IP and memories and nostalgia. They're basically like, yo, we could just do nostalgia off of a fucking bootleg and y'all will still watch that shit. And that's basically what they're doing with Lego Star Wars. Now, I love that they're doing this. This sounds like hilarious. But seriously, part of the news should have been like, oh, and we made a 4K transfer of the Star Wars Holiday Special and it's going to be on Disney+. Like, give us that. We've been through enough this year. We had COVID. Like, you know what, guys? I know George Lucas, of all the creators of creative things, is like the least cancelable because he like gave a lot of money for charity and helped build the Martin Luther King Memorial and isn't a total transphobe and stuff like that. But still, fuck what he wants. He made McClunky release the Star Wars Holiday Special with it. Give us that. Please give us that. Please. I won't even review it again, Disney. If that matters to you. I already did. But just give it, please. 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 We all need this. We need to get drunk this Christmas. Let's all get drunk and watch the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, and Cats again. Just do it. And you know what? Fuck it. Let him, you know what? Tunjay was saying, sorry, I'm being a little wild. Tunjay was saying George Lucas probably won't give it to them like the original trilogy. You're right. But what if, hear me out here, the holiday special is already garbage anyway. You can easily get a copy of it in whatever the fuck quality it is. Be like, we can restore it, George, and you can put in as many special edition stupid crap as you want. That sounds amazing to me. Anyway, will I review the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special? Probably, because I just think it is wild that they're like, you know, it'll have Rey and Poe and Finn and all these people, and reference a thing that's on bootleg. I wonder if she'll call herself Rey Skywalker in it. Oh my god, I hope she does. When someone says Rey, she's like, Rey Skywalker. Oh my god, they're gonna do that. Ryan Walterson says, release the B. Arthur cut. Yes, and then we can do that. Think of all the fun. Disney, you're sitting on a gold mine here. Hear me out. Ryan Walterson has just come up with it. Hear me out. Release it. Let George Lucas do all his special edition bullshit. And then we can get all upset that you won't release the bootleg cut with the Fighting Furies at 11 thing. Oh my god, guys. Disney, come on. You're not sure what to do with Disney Plus. I just gave you 2 Christmases of content. You release the fucked up version and then you release the bootleg version the next Christmas. I just made you popular on Twitter for 2 Christmases. Ryan, that was great. Thank you. Ray Gisriel, how dare you? If she had done that, I would have ran out of the theater. And I would have, can I sue them? I guess I don't know my name, so my family could sue them. Somebody look into that. Anyway, cheers to you, right. Alright, so let's get into AMC reopening. So, AMC Theaters, who is the largest movie theater chain, at least in America, and the only one the press seems to care about, is going to try to reopen on August 20th. This is SH calls herself that gives the audience the bird. Wait, what? She calls herself that gives the audience the bird. Okay, sorry, Zane Powers. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. So AMC is reopening on August 20th. On that day, because it's their 100th anniversary, they will let tickets be 15 cents. After that day, they'll mainly be playing repertory stuff like Empire Strikes Back. I know is one of them, which actually that sounds pretty cool, even though I'm not going. I think they're playing Jumanji, The Next Level, a couple other things, but that will be 15 cents. It will be bumped up to $5 after that, and then it'll be normal. I think it's going to be normal ticket prices after that. I know I've seen, because I obviously am on all the Regal Facebook groups, that they're going to require face masks in their theaters. It seems like AMC as well. They're going to have limited concessions. The 15 cents thing sounds nice. I know they really want to sell the idea to people to come back to the movies. The movies are safe, make movies accessible again. That I'm not objecting to. And the 15 cent thing, I know this theater that's near me, in Baltimore, the Senator, well, not near me now, but where I grew up, the Senator used to do that because they opened in 1939, which, if you don't know, is considered the greatest year in Hollywood history. And I'm not going to argue with that, actually. I sort of agree. But it's definitely, of the great movie years of all time, 1939 is up there. Wizard of Oz, for example. But they would let you go see a movie for a quarter on their anniversary, and they play a movie from 1939. I believe their first film was Samson and Livingston. I wonder what's going on with my phone. I should probably check it. Anyway, not right now. I'm doing a show. But the one consent I've seen from cinephiles is, why don't you play old movies from the 20s? Like, have one theater, you can see what AMC would have been playing there. I sort of agree with that, but I think AMC's like, hey, our business is dying, so give us a fucking break. But I will say AMC... so one of the things they said they've acknowledged is that movie ticket prices are going to have to go up because of what happened during the quarantine and with COVID and everything, and concession prices will have to go up and movie ticket prices will have to go up. I just don't think that is a good idea. I think a lot of people have said ticket prices should probably go down because so many people are hurting right now, so many people are unemployed. We want people to go to the movies again, and I think the fact that, I didn't get to go to the theater a lot as a kid, as much. Certainly, Sophie's probably been more times than I was at her age. I mean, at least before this. But I think they should make it cheaper. There's no other way they can really do it. I think going to the regular ticket prices is a bit of a mistake. They're probably going to have to do the repertory stuff more because I think, getting people into the theater, used to the movies. I hope they do that more. But we'll see how that's all going to play out, but they've already acknowledged that ticket prices are actually probably going to go up. I think that is a bad idea. What I've heard with the 15 cent thing, a lot of people have said, is if it's 15 cents, that sounds like you could feasibly buy out an entire theater for a normal, what's considered, or at least before this, a normal movie ticket price, which part of me wants to do just to, support AMC, to be honest with you. Just to be like, hey, guys, I support you just being a theater. Here's $15. Buy out the theater. I've heard people say they might buy out the theater just to see a movie in a theater by themselves, which that I think is funny. And by the way, that is supporting. That is supporting in a way. So maybe I will be seeing, at Lowe's Kips Bay, see Empire Strikes Back all by myself. My wife would kill me. She doesn't really want me to go to a theater right now. But I don't know when I'm going to a theater. I don't think I'm seeing New Mutants in the theater, which is hurts me beyond belief. But anyway, all right. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about AMC doing this, but I think it is. The 15 cent thing I think is cool. The $5 for repertory stuff I think is really cool. But everything else, I just think they need to. They need to chill with the prices. I understand that they're hurting, but whatever. What's the worst way they could have reopened them? From Zane Powers. It's a good question, Zane. Cheers to you. Jim Othy? What's that mean? Anyway, What's the worst way? If they just started playing Onward and that Vin Diesel movie, they played the guy from Valiant Comics. Man, I should watch that. Is that on somewhere? That's free? I don't want to pay for that. Yeah, if they just did that, that would probably be bad. And Dolittle and stuff. I think that would probably be the worst way, to be honest with you. But I think they're trying to... I'm trying to be positive because I would like movie theaters to survive when we can actually go to the theater. So, alright. Tron 3 was announced this week with the director of Lion, and Jared Leto is still attached. This film has not been greenlit, which is a big part of the story, but they actually have a director who's actively developing it, who's the guy who directed Lion, Garth Davis. The thing with this is, couldn't get a date, and they would say there's no way to give it a date that was any close enough for this film to be profitable, and people saying it wouldn't be, and like, what are they doing with this? Here's my crazy kind of theory with this Tron movie. I'll say that, and then I'll say more about the director, I guess. But Disney Plus just announced the thing with Mulan. I think what they are thinking with Tron is maybe having Tron for something on Disney Plus. They could possibly do it with the $30 thing, because they have set that up. That might be, they might just say, hey, we're developing this Jared Leto for Disney Plus. You can't sign this goes to theaters bullshit kind of thing. This goes right to Disney Plus. Now, why do that for Disney Plus specifically, rather than theaters? Well, one, they've said and if you think the release date problem for this movie was a problem before COVID, it's an extra problem after. Like, next summer, people are already saying, like, if we are allowed to go to theaters, it's going to be insane. It's going to be weird there's going to be movies on top of movies, and it's going to be crazy. And like Tron, just like, it didn't have a good time. It actually, both the Tron films were not financial huge hits or anything like that. So, but I think if they were to do it for Disney Plus, that would work, because cult films, which this film I don't think is a full cult film, I think it's a little more mainstream, but Tron has its fans. And streaming services like what I'm going to talk about later with the McGruber show on Peacock or Mystery Science Theater on Netflix or things like that, the reason these streaming services pick up these cult shows is because they know that fan base, whether it's 10,000 people or 100,000 people. They know they can be like, well, we're going to get those 100,000 people, and they'll sign up for as long as they have. And with Disney Plus's thing on this, they could say, well, you could own this Tron movie. You can download it to your device, but you got to pay that $7 every month. And you love Tron, so it's the only way you can watch it. And I think that would actually work with Tron. They could do the $30 thing, or they could just have it be like Hamilton or something like that. But Tron is still an important IP to Disney. And I think, they're still making rides for it, by the way. So I think, like, this, to me, based on what we know about why Tron 3 hasn't been picked up previously, sounds to me like a Disney Plus thing. That's what I think is going to happen. And I could see them saying, like, well, to really do Tron, you have to spend a lot of money, so I'll make it a $30 thing or a $20 thing. Or they could say, hey, we're making so much on Disney Plus, let's just make this an exclusive, and people will get all excited for Tron and show up, and it'll be like the Mandalorian sort of thing. And hopefully, maybe it'll even be good, which, who knows. But, because I've seen, like, box office analysts who I retweet a lot, Scott Mendelson, mention, like, why Tron 3 and why it would bomb, basically. And he's right. And if you look at any financials or Tron 3, it wouldn't do well. So I think it's a Disney Plus play. That's what I think. And I think that's actually a better way to do it, because then you can, like, let the Tron franchise exist under a streaming service, and you don't have the financial constraints of theatrical. Because clearly theatrical is not working for the Tron franchise. I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm not anti it. I'm just saying, like, the actual finances of Tron, that's how it works. So, do I think it'll be good? I don't know, because the director of Lion, I didn't really like Lion. It is on Tubi. It's one of my recommendations, just because I think if you are excited for Tron 3, maybe see Lion and go, like, why would you pick this guy? I think because the story of Tron Legacy was not its strong point. They want someone who they know can tell a good story. I would argue that he didn't even really do that with Lion, but, someone likes him somewhere. And I think what they're trying to do with this is try someone who's not a visual stylist. I don't know if I agree with that idea. To me, it's like, I think Tron needs someone who's more of a sort of person. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, so that's it with Tron 3. But we'll see about it. I don't know if it'll really become anything, but I think it's a Disney Plus play. Sorry if that was my crazy how Tron will be released theory. So the Patrick Star Show. This Nickelodeon set show is going to be a spin-off from SpongeBob of Patrick Star. It is not going to be like a show necessarily where Patrick goes on his own adventures. It's like he has a talk show. It's going to be sort of a Larry Sanders Show type talk show kind of thing, and Patrick Star is the host. In some ways, I like the concept. I still would like to see this, but I will agree that we are getting too many SpongeBob spin-offs. I think you know, Camp Coral is one thing. We haven't seen that yet. I'm a little surprised they're announcing this. It's at least a good enough of a different concept, so I'm sort of a little more open to it. But I will say we've had way too many of these spin-offs recently. And I do like that they're trying to do something different with it. I appreciate that, but I would have liked, you know, couldn't you have done this with like any character? Why Patrick Star? I'd like to see more about that. Oh, hey, Rocket Duck 413, how's it going? Sorry I'm late. Stay hydrated. Cheers to you, Rocket Duck 413. That's very nice of you. Cheers to you. All right. Whoa. Will's here. How's it going? What's funny about Tron 3 is I went into the second with such little expectation and was surprised how much I liked it. Don't think a follow-up would live up to those new expectations, honestly. I don't think it would either, to be honest with you. I think it's also like both those films. That's a good point, Will. Will, thank you very much for the super chat. Cheers to you, man. I think you're right on that, and both the Tron films are big visual effects heavy kind of, you know, visual effects kind of heavy, groundbreaking films, and I don't know if like somebody who's new at that could honestly do that and kind of blow people away. Also, would Daft Punk come back? I think that's a big question because that precedent has been set. I mean, maybe they could get like a lesser electronic person. Anyway, thank you very much for the super chat, Will. That's very nice of you. I hope you're doing well. All right, so there's going to be, I find this story, I probably wouldn't talk about this story most likely, but I actually find it interesting. There's going to be a Fresh Prince reboot, but it's kind of not what you'd think a Fresh Prince reboot would be. It's a Fresh Prince reboot as a drama. Now, this is based on a viral video, I guess from a couple years ago, of someone made sort of like a pilot of the I guess it's sort of like a pilot. It's like a trailer for a Fresh Prince as a drama thing. And Will Smith saw it and liked it. He actually did an interview with the guy who made it on his YouTube channel. And it seemed actually really cool. Because when I first read the drama thing, at first I was like, oh, that's so dumb. Like, I don't want that. Like, who would want that? And then I watched the video. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. I'm kind of into this. And I think it sort of goes back to what's happening a lot with modern interpretation. Thank you, Ryan, for posting that. Modern interpretations of media and kind of remixing or rebooting things. Same with like the SpongeBob anime as well, is I think modern creators are more interested in constantly changing and messing with content. Like the idea of like a reboot would just be, you know, Will Smith's, you know, Uncle Phil and, you know, this kid, you know, like doing a reverse thing or something. Like no one's interested in that. They or the people are bringing up the banana splits and things like that. Like people like changing and messing around with stuff. And this is like seems like such a cool example. I really am. I'm sort of excited for this. And hey, kudos to this guy who seemed like when Will Smith was interviewing him in his video, he had other ideas for it. I would actually watch this. It seems like kind of a neat idea, even though it's like, even it's shot differently, it can reference things, it can change tenses of things. It actually seems like a really cool idea. I don't think there's a network attached, but that they're developing it, and it's really in the works from Quincy Jones and Will Smith and stuff. And Will Smith seems excited by it. And I think this looks really cool. Check out the video that Ryan posted in the chat. Thank you again, Ryan, for doing that. All right, so let's get into Infinity Train Book 3. First off, I think up until this week, we had no clue how they were going to release it. I think we all thought they were just going to release them all in 1 week. I don't think that was known until this week. I'm going to release that in case you don't know. I feel like everyone does. But previously for Infinity Train, it would be released like 2 episodes a day on Cartoon Network for a week, and then you get all of them. But Infinity Train this time is released differently. On August 13th, which just happened, they released episodes 1 through 5. On next Thursday, August, did I say October? I think I did. Anyway, October 20th. I'm not going to spoil anything, by the way. On October... okay, August 13th, the first 5. August 20th, 6, 7, and 8. And then August 27th, 9, and 10. Now, Owen Dennis, the creator of Infinity Train, has said, we actually requested they release them this way. So I'm going to actually respect that and try to watch them in that way. I might rewatch them, so I'm going to do these little, like, quick thoughts on Infinity Train, the episode, and then I'll do a full review of the full season or the full book. That's what I usually do. Nobody please post spoilers in the chat or in the comments of this later on. I'd like to play spoiler-free. For everyone who hasn't watched, there's obviously big moments in this. I'm not going to really talk about that. But I think the one thing I watched with this, and I tweeted this before, is that this book is about empathy. And the whole idea of what empathy means. Okay, Austin. All right, Austin said, so my theory on how this season will end with Alan Dracula crashing down, solving all the problems. I call it my Danos Ma Alan Dracula. That was good. That was good. Spoiler alert, it's a cartoon. Nice ride. That was good. Cheers to you, Austin. I like that. All right. Alright. Oh, we've almost killed a Red Bull. Cool. Alright. That was funny. So, yes, this book is about empathy, and these characters who, and this is just information that you knew going in, these characters who before, when you seen everyone who comes into the Infinity Train, they come in, they learn about themselves, their number goes down, and they leave. These people are refusing to learn their lesson. They're refusing to figure out why they're on the train, how to improve themselves. And by doing that, they're actually like hurting people. They're destroying the robots that the creatures in each of the trains that they call nulls, and basically killing them and torturing them, because in their mind, like, the train has this fascist conductor, and they actually prefer the previous of book 1, which I won't get into the spoilers of that, conductor on that. And it's sort of, I think, in a way, I actually think it's sort of political, because it's talking about people's lack of empathy. Did I spoil the actual ending? I don't think I did. Anyway. I don't, maybe that was a joke. Don't get me started on seasons 4 through 8. What are we talking about? I shouldn't watch this. Anyway. But I do like what it's saying. I do think it's political in a way because of people's lack of empathy, of understanding how the structure of this thing works, and refusing to get the help it is trying to provide them and getting them to change with it. And that's sort of interesting to follow them, because we followed, like, Tulip and the mirror image in the next one and all that stuff. And the choice to follow these characters kind of shows you one of the things about Infinity Train is that it's so much about empathy. It's so much about that you need to change, and to have these characters who are refusing to do that kind of brings up the whole idea of, like, well, if you're making people change, do they have a choice in that matter? Do they have a choice in the fact that they do they want to actually change? Are you kind of making them doing something against their will because you think that's the right way to be? I mean, maybe that's not the right way to be for them. So I don't know. It brings up a lot of questions, which I love. That's the thing I love about this show, is, like, you think the narrative and the way it's structured, like it is, in book 1, you think, oh, that's a perfect way, and Tulip learned, and the train changed, all this wonderful stuff. And then you get to book 2, and you kind of, like, think of things differently, especially with MT looking at, like, does she have an identity being made through the train to she represent more, and then you have these other people who are like rejecting what the train is completely. And actually, if they had met MT, which they didn't like her in book 2 anyway. So it is a really wonderful season so far. Book 3, I kind of feel like you kind of need the whole book together. I'm not going to do reviews of like 1 through 5, 6 or 8 or something like that. Just do these quick things, but I like the characters so far. I like the idea of the empathy going on throughout it, and I like what it's making you think about. Of like, you know, your actions matter, and I think these kids are trying to act like they're trying to be kids. They're like, no, actions don't matter. But I think, you know, reality is kind of hitting them a little hard, because actions do matter, and those decisions do hurt you, and your lack of deciding to accept those things is just going to forever keep you stuck on this train, whether you want to deal with it or not. So anyway, oh man, dinosaur baseball card. Sorry, that was a big shift there. Yeah, I guess Infinity Train does seem to be getting darker. It's like they gave you Paleo's right. They gave you like a baseline, and then it get like deeper and darker and stranger as it goes on, which I really like. It is like, I think when Dennis was on Pizza Party, I said like it's sort of like older Doctor Who, and that's like what older Doctor Who could be, because they get like weirder and darker because no one was paying attention. I feel like that with Infinity Train Book 3, because no one's really watching Book 3, even though it got an A- on the AV Club, which is a really good score, especially for an animated show. So I hope people check out Infinity Train, especially if you have HBO Max. You can watch it really quickly, and I think it's a really damn good show. All right, so the regular show card, nice Mandela butterfly. That would be cool, actually. So DC. Now we're going to get into a bunch of kind of firings from companies, unfortunately. I did talk about Blood T. I'm sorry you missed the Avatar thing. You can scroll back. You can do that, right? Anyway. I did that at the beginning. DC had some major restructurings and firings, firing a large amount of people, shutting down DC Universe. A lot of the shows were canceled. Some of them, like Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, will be moved over to HBO Max. A lot of the top brass under kind of the DCEU thing and everything like that. My first movie when AMC opens is Sonic 15-cent ticket. I didn't know that was part of the 15-cent ticket thing, but cheers to you. Cheers to you, Rancent Film. I hope you have fun with your... I mean, Sonic is at least worth 15 cents. Okay, that Red Bull is done. But DC's had a huge restructuring. Jim Lee did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, where he basically said that they're still in the comics business. Everything that has been ordered and is profitable is going to continue. It sounds like they're going to cut back on titles, and they have set up a new distribution system. There's rumors AT&T is not too interested in comics continuing. I have not. It seems like they still are, because it seems like there'd be too much of a backlash, and they wouldn't really be able to make like Batman movies as frequently if they killed the comics. I will say, if you're really upset by this story, please like go buy a DC comic, because no one buys comics, and feels like when I talk about these comic stories, there's a lot of people who aren't financially doing anything about comics. I know you can't go to comic book stores, but maybe order one on Amazon, something like that, to support DC Comics, because I feel like a lot of people are like, comics can't go away. I'm like, when did you buy a comic? And they're like, comics can't go away. And you're like, all right, dude. So find a way to do that, I would say. But it seems like DC is in a weird state. I think the DC Universe thing always seemed weird, because you knew HBO Max was coming, and I was like, what are you going with this? I'm a little confused over what their app is going to be to actually read past DC Comics, because you maybe just put that on HBO Max as well. Be like, hey, you can... I think that actually would be a good idea, to have a little section where you can just read. You can get every DC comic as well. That would make their app actually far more valuable, and even because you can't watch it on Roku, and I think a lot of people are watching on phones and tablets and stuff, since that's a great way to read comics, that would actually help your app, to be honest with you. But we'll see about that. I think DC, Jim Lee is kind of assured that they're going to continue to do stuff, but it does seem like DC in general is trying to figure things out, trying to make sure they're on the right foot when the Batman hits next October right now or something. and really kind of figure it out correctly, especially because Warner Media did not understand itself before they started HBO Max, which I think is a huge screw up in their case. Also, Laika laid off 56 workers. Apparently, they are in pre-production on a feature that they haven't announced, or they're on furlough. They're going to bring them back when they think things can be safe. I hope Laika existing has always been financially never made a ton of sense, and because their films don't make a lot of money. I hope this does not hurt them too much. I hope that this feature happens, whatever it is. We don't seem to actually know, but we'll see what happens with Laika. I'm a little more worried about Laika than DC because we need stop motion places like Laika, and I hope everyone who lost their jobs is doing okay or was given a good package when they left. All right, where are we? Okay, man, there's a lot of news this week. I'm going to overdone it a little bit. All right, so the X-Men animated series producer, who I guess I talked to at MomoCon, has talked with Disney about doing a revival. She said, we've had talks with Disney, but that's about it. We've had conversations, and it's up to them to make the decision, but we've let them know that we're all available for whatever they want to do in the future. They said if we could do a special or a one-off episode or a 5-part episode, whatever they wanted to do, if we had all the original team, that's what I would come out for retirement for, because the producer said she would come out of retirement to do this. She's currently retired. I hope this happened. I think that would be cool, but we'll see if that actually we'll see if this actually goes down. I know it's kind of a popular it's a fairly popular show still, but we'll see if they actually do it. I think it would be cool, just do like a mini series type of thing, bring those people back. I think it would be neat, but maybe that's just my own nostalgia, but I don't know if they will. But it's at least cool that they've had discussions, that it's at least talked about. I think it's pretty cool. So one of the things that really came up this past week was Disney has stopped the rumor that Disney had stopped production on 4K releases. Disney has come back and said they have not stopped production on 4K releases. Specifically, people seem to think that they would still do it with Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, and things like that. They would stop it on all Fox titles, except for they were thinking the James Cameron stuff would still get 4K. Disney says that is not true. It's based on a title by title basis. I think the 4K thing, I get 4K restorations are great, but most mainstream audiences don't even do that anymore. So I think this is just a sign of the times, unfortunately. I think people need to understand that there's 4K releases are not going to be around forever. And if, they should probably do a burn-on-demand thing like the Warner Archive does, rather than, release them in stores, because less and less consumers are interested in them. And very few people have 4K TVs or want to buy these collections. I understand, look, I get Blu-rays for the quality too, but I just think, they're probably going to have to scale them back in a certain regard, and I don't think everything... it seems like they're admitting not everything's going to get a 4K release or a Blu-ray release or things like that, and that's just sort of the way things are. Even financially, Hamilton's not coming on Blu-ray. Same with Mulan. So... maybe it will eventually, but I just think that's a sign of the times. But it sounds like Disney's kind of denying that they're specifically leaving out Fox or anything like that. That's more of a case-by-case basis. We'll see if those classic titles still get 4K restorations, but it sounds like there's reasons to do 4K restorations anyway, because there's going to be so many re-releases coming up, especially with all these theaters happening with that. So, yeah. Animal Crackers. Let's talk about Animal Crackers 2. There is no Animal Crackers 2. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, Austin, you reminded me. This is the 1-year anniversary of Movie Crap Live. Thank you, Austin. I totally forgot about that. Cheers to you. I think it's tomorrow, actually. So, I guess in 30 minutes. Or Monday? I forget. But yeah, this is the show that'll be the year anniversary of Movie Crap Live. We're doing this for a year. Thank you all who've been watching this past year and for showing up every Saturday. Cheers to all of you, but cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. All right. So animal crackers. I wanted to show off this. Is it this picture? Yes, it is. This is the picture that the director posted on Twitter. It seems to me that he's saying that this is in his pitch deck for when he wants to actually pitch Animal Crackers to the second batch. We'll see if this actually happens. We don't know what the plot is or anything like that, but that is at least a preview of what it could be. It seems like it's something he could do. I don't know if it actually will happen, but that's the picture. So, yes, McGruber, which was formerly a skit on SNL and then a movie, which I saw once and I should really watch again, is going to be rebooted, which we kind of had heard this reboot would happen, but it has been greenlit with eight episodes, and it's going to be on Peacock, the original director from Yorma, I believe, from the Lonely Island, is coming back to do it, as well as the original star, Will Forte. I think this sounds like something that Peacock sort of needs, because the internet will love this show. It's probably going to be a lot longer than we would get from a actual McGruber 2, which doesn't sound like it will probably happen. So this at least, and it also will get people to sign up for Peacock, much as like I was saying with the Tron thing, these cult things that like people reference and talk about all the time are really great for streaming services, because you know those people have to watch it. And I think McGruber could work out for them very well like that. I also think the Saved by the Bell show will do that, but that has to premiere at some point too. But this is another good investment for them, and I think it will actually be pretty funny, so I'm excited for that. It's sort of weird that like a skit that was making fun of MacGyver, which was a show, then went to become a movie, and now is actually becoming a show again, is bizarre. I believe they're going to be 30 minutes. So, Kissanime, the free pirate streaming service sort of site, was shut down. I believe it was Friday or Thursday. Shut down permanently. It's gone. This is sort of a big deal, I think, because I don't think pirating in anime will go away, because anime is not released very well. I've talked about that before. I don't think companies are very good at releasing it day and date. Not that you could, because you have to have all these voice dubs and stuff, but it's just they're not great at releasing them, making it accessible to people. But Kissanime did. And I don't think pirating is over for anime. I think pirating for anime is going to continue. That's like how anime made its way over here, because people and networks weren't presenting them in the right way, and that's just going to continue. Now, I'm unclear if Kiss Cartoon is there or not, but I think the thing with pirating in anime is always going to be a thing until companies literally figure out a way to release these things and promote these things properly and make these things more accessible. Now, people are saying like, hey, that was the only way I could see it, or it's the only way I could afford it. I've actually seen people like spend tons of money at conventions and admit that they don't actually buy the official releases of this anime, which they're cosplaying as or something. And I'm always like, wait, what? Like, I'm sorry. How are you spending all this money on, like, vendor merch and all this stuff, and you're not actually supporting the show? That's not how it works. I don't understand. And it's always been this weird thing in anime, but it's something that these companies need to figure out how to fight. And maybe they fought it by, like, shutting the site down, but they didn't fight it by, like, actually finding a way. Like, I don't like how they do the movie releases where it's just like one night only. I get they financially figured out the best way to do it, but they need to make anime more accessible. They need to find out the best way to do it, whether that's making a Peacock type sort of service, but like with subs and stuff, that would actually work. But they need to figure this shit out, because it's just like, this has been a problem ever since anime has been making its way on American shores and other countries, and this needs to be sorted. And it's just like, I know Crunchyroll and Funimation are there, but some people, can't afford that or something like that. They need to figure out a better way to do this, because this is an industry that just has long been plagued by piracy, and it's just like someone needs to combat it in a proactive way, not in a, and I think it's sad because I think this is a way a lot of people learn from anime. It might be the end of an era to a certain degree, particularly because so many of these companies, streaming services, want to use anime because, cult thing, like I was talking, that's the theme of this show, I guess. Like cult media works well for streaming services, and anime is one of those. So, in other anime sort of related news, Warner Media tried to actually sell Crunchyroll to Sony for $1.5 billion. This would value each of the subscribers at about $500, which was a little excessive. This would also kind of give Sony like a lot of, I think, a monopoly on the anime. Was anime a mistake? No, anime wasn't a mistake. Anime is cool. Cheers to you, St. Powers. I don't think... it seems like Warner Media is really worried about their debts and trying to figure out how they're going to do this HBO Max thing. And I think selling Crunchyroll seems like a good idea. To me, it's like, get the Crunchyroll thing to work. But it's interesting that they offered it, but they just kind of valued it. And it didn't seem like anyone was really interested. I know they're in a ton of debt, but it's just like, guys, like this, they're in like hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. Like, I just, I don't know. It'll be interesting if someone does buy Crunchyroll, but that would also devalue HBO Max because that's one of the options on HBO Max I know people like, but whatever. So I actually thought this would have been announced. It wasn't. Odd. New York Comic Con is going to be live from home. Sony sucks. They censor every anime game. Oh, they do? That sucks. Anyway, thank you, Forever Zard. Sony does sort of suck. Cheers to you. I don't know what the context of Ryan Walterson's "It's Okay, it was an accident" too is, but it stopped me there. Anyway, thank you, Forever Zard. That's very nice of you for the super chat. But yes, New York Comic Con is not going to happen this year. Surprise, surprise, is going to be kind of streaming, much like San Diego Comic Con. It's interesting. They seem to think they can do a better job. Sure, good for you. Nothing's been announced, so when you do, let us know. Earth to Ned. This is just a quick thing. Earth to Ned is coming to Disney Plus on September 11th, so could have said that better. Anyway, moving on. Marge Simpson has actually responded to a Trump advisor who said that Kamala Harris sounded like her. This is probably because the Simpsons can animate quicker, even though their animation looks like absolute garbage still. But she still responded. It was a quick thing. It was much in the way that her old Halloween special intros used to be, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I actually I sort of like that. I thought it was kind of funny there. It's a quote from a Powerpuff Girl episode. Okay. Sorry, Ryan. I saw that out of context. I was like, wow, Ryan, damn. Yeah, it was kind of nice that the Simpsons responded to a Trump advisor saying that that Kamala Harris sounded like Marge Simpson, which I don't think is true, but whatever. It was kind of cute to get a quick little thing of a Marge Simpson thing, but I wish, I mean, like, if they can animate things that quick, like, shouldn't the animation be better? Anyway. So, this is another Scott Mendelson Forbes article, but it was interesting, and I tweeted it today. I thought I'd bring attention to it during the show, that Dolittle, even though it was one of the biggest bombs of the year, is actually one of the highest grossing films of the year, particularly because of what it did overseas. He actually went into the article how, if you consider the talking animal genre and its box office history, that they really overspent on this, and considering that it actually did okay, and it's a cool article. You should check it out. It's on my Twitter. But I use it as the metaphor for 2020, that it is a huge disastrous bomb, but also one of the highest grossing films of the year. Zac Effron is going to star in a Three Men and the Baby remake for Disney Plus. There seems to be a lot of like, do we need this? IP, all this stuff. Here's the thing with this movie that I think people should think about. One, most of the people I've seen talk about this are dudes, and I don't think this film appeals to dudes. This film appeals mostly to dudes. I think is more female skewing. Also, Three Men and a Baby doesn't cost that much as a movie. If you're to reboot it, you're not going to cost that much. So putting that on Disney Plus, which doesn't like to spend Netflix money on movies, is actually a really great idea, because you could make it for 50 million or 40 million or so, because Zac Efron doesn't cost that much, and just put, you know, some like maybe a few other celebrities, and still this thing would be highly profitable. So that's exactly why they're going to remake Three Men and a Baby, which I know is a remake of a French movie, if someone says that in the chat. But what the original is. To me, it's like, it sounds like a win-win. I don't know why they didn't do the script, which I think it's like Three Men and a Bride or something, where they're going to have the original three come back and someone get and see the girl get married. I would honestly still do both. They both sound cheap. They, you know what I mean? They're not going to cost that much, and you, in return, all the press and everything you get would be worth it, I think. So everyone who's going like, why would they do this? I'm like, because it wouldn't cost that much. It's a very inexpensive thing to do. That is why. Anyway, Ryan's got a point. Will it have a cardboard kid in the back? You know what? I think they should. I think they should have isn't it Ted Danson's cardboard cutout in it? That's the Ghost Kid. They should have that reference in there to Ghost Kid. The trailer for Devil All the Time, which looks really cool. And it's basically about, it's the new Netflix film. It's coming out in September. I forgot the date. But it looks, kind of a murder mystery type thing. Robert Pattinson having a cool accent as a preacher with Tom Holland, all that stuff. I'm into this. I guess I'm more excited for I'm thinking of ending things, but I'm definitely going to see this film and review it and stuff. But it's by the director of Christine as well. And it looks really promising. I know Netflix is being kind of cagey about like Mank, for example, but they're moving forward with this having a release date in September, and I think it looks really cool. It looks like the kind of cool thriller that people used to see in theaters in September, and I think people would be really into, actually. And it actually looks like a good turn for Tom Holland, because he hasn't done a lot of dramas, but seeing kind of like a murder kind of, I guess it's not a murder mystery, it's more like a thriller type thing, I think is pretty cool. There's going to be a 1970s Batman movie. It's called Batman Soul Dragon. It's Batman faces a deadly menace from his past with the help of three former classmates, a world-renowned martial artist, Richard Dragon, Ben Turner, who's like kind of I guess a blaxploitation type guy, and then Lady Shiva. It's coming out in early 2021. I kind of wish these on-demand Batman movies, that more of them would just go to HBO Max, because I've always wanted to see them, but like you always forget about it and things like that. I mean, the thing is, like, the Death in the Family thing sounds interesting to like watch on demand and like do that. Like that I would pay for, but this kind of stuff, like if it was on HBO Max, I'd see it that weekend. Like unlike American Pickle, which is so much. A bunch. These are actually kind of cool stories. I should probably. Oh, man, there's a lot of stuff this week. Oh man, there's a lot of. I didn't realize how many stories I had. We're sort of close to being done. Anyway, I do have to pee a little bit, and I don't want to. I'm too close to the break. Will's here. Will's here. Hold on, sorry. Just a cool thing to announce this, but all of Campio's previous work is out on Netflix now. Okay, Christine, Simon Killer, After School, have at it, guys. Okay, all right. So if you like Devil All the Time, or if you like Christine, you should watch his other work. I also saw he was part of a production company that made Marlene or whatever. I'm screwing this up, Will. I'm sorry. But that is a good suggestion, Will. Thank you very much. Cheers to you, sir. I'm going to remember that when I make another Netflix recommendation video. Rocket Duck 413. Have a good night. Thank you very much. All right, so there's going to be a Harriet the Spy. Sorry. Harriet the Spy animated series on Apple. What I find interesting about this is I clearly don't know anything about Harriet the Spy other than the Nickelodeon movie. Apparently it takes place in the 60s normally, or in the book series, and I guess they adapted and changed it for the 90s because it's so radical. But Beanie Feldstein will voice Harriet. Jane Lynch will play her nanny, Oli Gali, and in addition, Lacey Chabert will play Marion Hawthorne, and the Queen Bee at Harriet's School. This is actually from the co-creator of Pete and Pete, who I checked and hasn't really done a ton of other stuff, and I thought he was involved in other stuff. But it sounded like a Pete and Pete co-creator working on an animated Harriet the Spy show. on Apple Plus sounds actually really cool. Apple Plus, I've noticed, is really trying to like change. They're really just making all original content, and they're trying to make really substantial original content. And I've actually heard what they have is really cool, so maybe I will check them out if I get that, because I'll probably get a new when I do the Apple thing. We should probably get the free Apple Plus year thing and figure that out. But I would like to. I'm curious about this show. It sounds actually pretty cool. Maybe I'll watch that with Sophie at some point. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on if it's age appropriate. But that sounds cool to me. So in big movie news, I have two big kind of deal newses, I guess. Martin Scorsese has a first look deal at Apple. We already know he has the Killers of the Flower Moon, or whatever the DiCaprio De Niro movie title is. But this is, so he has a first look deal. He goes to them first with movies and TV shows. Basically what Apple's trying to do is get these big names to sign off and deal projects. Scorsese's one of those names that big actors and people like to work with. He gets awards nominations. He gets big cinephile things written about him. He's perfect for a streaming service. Netflix kind of didn't do that for whatever reason. Paramount didn't do it. The thing about Scorsese, a lot of people have commented on it as his budgets have gotten way out of control, where he used to never have even $100 million. His movies would cost nothing, and now they all have to cost $200 million. I agree his budgets have gotten way out of control. He is making a film with DiCaprio and De Niro that is still kind of a big deal in my eyes. That would kind of sound expensive, frankly. But I'm curious. I mean, he did make Boardwalk Empire at HBO, which I actually, anytime I'm on a plane, I see somebody, which was a while ago, I see somebody catching up on Boardwalk Empire. I think that show's actually a lot bigger than people realize. But I think this could be really cool, and letting Martin Scorsese like kind of have at it on a streaming service like makes Apple Plus sound cooler. Like if you could let Martin Scorsese make a funky documentary about some weird filmmaker and be like, yeah, sure, man, whatever, as long as you're here. That sounds like really promising, actually. So he is a great filmmaker. He's always made interesting, good stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of The Irishman, but I'll probably see every film he ever makes until he dies. So, I think this could be very possible for Apple Plus. So, in Seth MacFarlane news, this is weird, but it's real. Seth MacFarlane is going to make a serious World War II series. It's the epic story of one American's family's turbulent voyage through the continents and across the years that span the Second World War. Now, there's no news if he is going to be in it. It sounds like he's just going to produce and direct and write and develop this thing. This is not part of... Disney is not involved in this, as he now has a deal with NBC Universal. And it seems like he's moving over in that direction. Seth MacFarlane always has a weird thing where like Fox never really treated him that well. They didn't greenlight Ted. He actually went to Universal to do that. And it seems like Universal will sort of let him do anything, much like A Million Ways to Die in the West. Whereas Fox never would let him do that with shows, but not like all of his artistic, ambitious projects. Sounds like Universal's more interested in that. This is like, he's made a lot of people a lot of money over the years. Like a lot of money. And it sounds like something like he really just has a lot of passion for. It hasn't been picked up by anybody. I just don't think it, I don't think it'll, he has no experience with that unless he's like Seth MacFarlane and, the guy who made Band of Brothers, who isn't Tom Hanks or Steven Spielberg or something. Then I'd be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'd meet you halfway. But this just sounds like his ego and kind of like a passion project he really wants to do. So, all right. I think we are definitely running long, and there's like too many news things I wanted to talk about. All right. We're sort of close to being done. Okay. All right, let me... okay. So, Fear Street, the Fear Street trilogy, the Fear Street movies, which were going to be these 3 movies Fox was going to release throughout one summer, actually. Be like, the first movie comes out in June, the second in July, the third in August, something like that. This was going to happen. It was going to be a really ambitious idea, especially because Fear Street as a name isn't actually big enough to, in my mind, do this, but whatever. But Netflix has bought them, and next summer there's going to be the Summer of Fear. So they were going to be released like throughout the summer. I think one's in May, July, something like that. But you'll get these 3 Fear Street movies. This is the other R.L. Stine series that was more mature, that was not Goosebumps. Here's the thing about that. apparently the reason they're doing it this way is not because Netflix is super invested in this. It's more because they have all their Halloween slots picked out and contractually signed by other scary movies, so they had to do it in the summer. But it sounds like ambitious. I wish it actually happened in theaters. I don't think the theater climate will work for an ambitious thing like this. They're clearly looking at it and like, how can we do a thing like it but with an R.L. Stine thing? It sounds cool. I'm curious to check those out. I know that they had certain like very new directors doing this sort of thing. I will give Fox this. It was very ambitious, but it sounds like it's been sold to Netflix like Disney's doing it with a lot of Fox things currently. So a couple of people were saying, why didn't they do it with Hulu? But it sounds like Disney and Fox doesn't really think Hulu has as much promise as clearly everyone else does, but that's a whole other thing. So there's going to be, the last Blockbuster has registered on Airbnb, believe it or not, and you can actually rent a room, an Airbnb at the last Blockbuster. I'm sure every YouTuber who has made one of those videos where they go to the last Blockbuster, because it seems like there's like a million of those things, will then rent that room and make a video about it. So I appreciate whoever does that first, and I will totally watch that one and then not watch any of the others. Would I do that if I was in that area? Fuck yes, I would. But it sounds cool. I kind of like hope that this helps them exist and things like that. But you know, it's kind of a neat little fun thing there. All right, so Tig Nataro will replace Chris D'Elia, who I didn't really talk about what happened with him. All the sexual assault allegations, but he was in Zack Snyder's next zombie army movie called Army of the Dead. And they're actually going to do reshoots and replace him with Tig Nataro. That sounds really cool. I like Tig Nataro in an action zombie movie. Sounds cool to me. So I'm not super excited for the Zack Snyder thing, but I know it's something they're doing. This is kind of cool. And so Spielberg's director's chair was a video game in the 90s. I've never played it, but someone has basically taken that game and made it sort of an interactive website thing. I tried to play it. Like, it has sections from Quentin Tarantino, makes cameos in Jennifer Aniston. It's very mid-90s. But I'd always heard about it. I never played it. And I tried to log into the site, and it never worked when I tried. But I might try again, but it's kind of cool that someone took Steven Spielberg's director's chair and reformatted it for a website there. All right, I have three things. I guess one thing before I get to the last things and then obituaries is a bunch of people have asked me to comment on a couple times about Owl House, and the one character has come out as bisexual. I haven't seen the episode, so I don't have many thoughts that are like good or nuanced or anything like that. But I will say I really appreciate representation in children's entertainment. I think what Rebecca did with Steven Universe is amazing. But I can tell you, like, I watch cartoons with, you know, a little kid all the time, and I watch cartoons with her friends when I could do that. And representation matters, and representation of LGBTQ characters for children's entertainment is really important. I don't think, my one thing is, like, I like that they're appealing to kids. I would like them to start appealing to even younger kids, actually. I think there's, like, a lot of importance in doing that, and I really appreciate what Owl House is doing. I'm not caught up on that show. There are too many pieces of content for me to review, but I would like to get to Owl House. I kind of want to. I'm kind of tempted by Rise of TMNT after Jack's Blade was so passionate about it and watching clips of it and everything. But anyway, I think that is awesome, and I appreciate those sort of things. I don't have much to say about it. I apologize, but I am very pro those sort of things, and I would like to catch up on Owl House at some point. Anyway, moving on. Some funny thing, just some loose things. Apparently, Woody Allen was almost cast in Eyes Wide Shut. There was a time where Eyes Wide Shut, Kubrick was considering making a comedy. He's a huge Steve Martin fan. I've actually known that for a long time, actually. He really liked the film The Jerk, which is kind of funny, and he almost considered making a comedy with either Woody Allen or Steve Martin. This is kind of a podcast recommendation. The podcast, The Greatest Movies Never Made, had a two-part podcast with Eduardo Sanchez, who was one of the directors on the Blair Witch Project. It gets into all the ideas for Blair Witch spinoffs that never happened, all the ideas he developed throughout his career, and actually the film that was going to be their follow-up to Blair Witch Project, which didn't happen, which was called Heart of Love, which was sort of a Zucker Brothers type comedy, which sounds sort of like what Epic Movie would be later. He actually had Jenny McCarthy signed on and Jim Belushi. It sounds like a really low-rent, silly, dumb comedy, and they actually like talked to like some of the top people in the industry to make kind of like the biggest budget, crazy kind of epic movie kind of thing, like the movie Epic Movie kind of thing. That's crazy. So check it. It's called Heart of Love. It's like one of like, I was like, that's what you wanted to follow up Blair Witch with? And he was like, we were so passionate about it. And it like gets into the whole thing with Blair Witch and all the ideas they had and stuff. It's really fascinating. I'm actually going to post it later on Twitter, but I wanted to bring it up and tell you guys about it now. It's really cool. It's really interesting what happened to him specifically. Cineram wanted me to recommend this, and I'm going to, and I'll recommend it when it's close to the screening. There's a writer called Barry Gifford. It's called Barry Gifford Chicago. He's a Chicago writer who writes about him growing up in Chicago in the 50s. He has a documentary which supposedly is going to use more clips and be semi-close to I'm Not Your Negro from what he told me. I'm probably not describing this very well. I apologize, Cineram. But there are kind of streaming screenings on September 2nd and September 6th. If you're interested or know who Barry Gifford is, or you're from Chicago and you're aware of that and like to hear about its history from this guy's perspective, it sounds pretty cool. I will try to post links to that on my Twitter later on, but I just wanted to bring it up to all of you, and I will bring it up again closer to that date. I need some water. Okay. Sorry, that was a lot of news. All right, so 2 obituaries and then a break. First, I don't know this guy very well, but I saw a lot about him, and I just want to say R.I.P. to Tetsuya Watari. He died recently. Apologies to him and his family. Condolences to him and his family. As well as an obituary for Linda Manns. She was the little girl in this film Days of Heaven. Days of Heaven was a big movie for me, and I'm actually surprised I've never reviewed it. Maybe I should. But she was sort of the narrator of it. The whole film's actually sort of from her perspective, from this child's perspective. She's such an important part of that film. I know she's been in other films. I know she was in Gummo, which I saw a lot in the 90s, but I haven't seen since then. But that hit me hard, because seeing that film was sort of a transformative, one of those film experiences where I remember coming out of the theater and I was like, what the fuck? Like, just like put me in a daze. And it's just such a beautiful film. And I really like the early Terrence Malick stuff, but I am sort of a Terrence Malick fan, but that film specifically is just gorgeous and beautiful. They only shot it at sunset, like when at magic hour. They only so they basically shoot like 2 hours a day. It was insane. Late 70s movie when directors had too much control, but it is just, the result is an amazingly beautiful film. The reason it's that way is it's from a child's perspective, and children always draw the sun high up in the sky, so it was a way to emulate a child's perspective, because it is from a child's perspective. But it's one of my favorite 70s films. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and it's one of those films that like made me really want, like, love cinema all over. It's just like one of those, like, I remember that summer, it was like that weekend, I don't know, coming out of it with a friend, we just like walked away from this college screening room, and just, I don't think we said much, but I was like, yeah, that was a movie. And it was like, yeah, and I think we just, and then later it was like, I don't think I said anything to you, but anyway, it's sad to see her go, because she was such a big part of that movie, and I really thought she was great in it. So R.I.P. to Linda Manns. All right, so I do have a few segments when I come back. The Adventure Time pilot, Mallards MTV special, and a quick little react sort of thing I'm going to do. Why am I clicking? Okay, but I have a little video. Is this the right video? No, that's an image, stupid. What are you doing? I think it's this one, and if I do it right, yes, that is it. Okay, so I'm going to play this video while I go to the bathroom. I think it is pretty, I don't know, it's just like a time-lapse thing I made, so you guys can check that out while I take a little break, and I will be right back after that. Alright, cool. See you shortly. And enjoy this. Oh wait, cut, hold on. Whoa. Hope you enjoyed that weird thing. Quick, while Jim is gone. Alright, what did Paleo say? What time is it? Alright, so before we get to reviews, I bought Sophie Scooby fruit snacks, and I don't think she doesn't know about them yet, so don't tell her. But I thought I would try these out and see what they're like on air as a react thing. Maybe this is stupid. Maybe this is because I want a snack. Whatever. See, it says Scoob. Here, let's get in there. These are official Scoob fruit snacks. All right, hold on. I've opened them. I'm going to show off. This is the mystery machine. Oh, okay. They're Scooby Snacks in a way. This is, I think it's Fred. This is quality content, right? Look into his soul. Look into his soul. Who's this? I think this is this Daphne? Wait, who's Daphne? Or Velma? Not sure. These are pretty good. I got her like a couple. I got her like healthy ones, but I was like, she loves Scooby-Doo right now, so. Oh, what's a monk bag? Oh, this is another mystery machine we got in there. Look at that. This is my unboxing. Okay, which one? I don't know, too many yellow ones. This blows. So these are just Freds. Damn it, what the fuck? I got too many Freds. Look at that shit. That's Fred. Look into his soul. Okay. Graham cracker is really good? Okay. Okay, so this, I think I just got the same people. I didn't get Scooby. I'm glad I ate these because she would not be. Okay, so this is Shaggy. That's Shaggy, right? Yeah, I think that's Shaggy. And then finally, seriously, another Fred. Look at that. Anyway, sorry. I don't know what a monk bag is. Is it the nice guy who eats fast food in his car? Anyway. Alright, now I got gummy stuck in my teeth. Alright. Pelly was like, I want to watch Adventure Time, not... Okay, was that funny? I don't know. Maybe that was dumb. Alright. That was probably dumb. I think Sophie will like it, but I'm glad I ate the one that doesn't have Scooby-Doo. Like, but Scooby-Doo should be in every pack, guys. Can we just... You know, where's Scooby? Scooby should be in every Scooby thing. Just a lot of Fred? Like, what the Anyway. Does anybody, like Fred that much? I don't think so. Wait, I'm, like, wasting time and I need to... Get this stream's going. Get the stream going. Sorry. Alright, so... So. I hope you guys like the little time-lapse thing. Sorry, those are like two I combined. I thought it would be cool. So, anyway. Alright, so, this week I put out my Every Nicktoons Show Ever video. And because of that, I thought I would review probably the most infamous show that was almost a Nicktoon, but then wasn't. And that was Adventure Time. Adventure Time started out as a pilot made by Nickelodeon. It actually aired on the Nicktoons network as a part of the Random Cartoons show. Famously, this was not picked up, and people say then because it was turned down like twice, but it was that it was turned down in favor of Fanboy and Chum Chum. It seems like that recommendation, that idea, that trivia fact, I've heard from some people that might not be as true, and it's unfair to Fanboy and Chum Chum because how could it ever be as good as Adventure Time? But regardless if that's true or not, this pilot I did see back in the day when it was sort of a viral hit. I saw it actually saw it like hang out in Maryland with someone. I think I watched it with Ian a few times and stuff. And I remember just thinking like, this is a weird, wacky kind of pilot that like people on the internet like, but it'll never, like, I literally thought like, oh, they'll never pick this up, but this is a damn cool pilot. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, I remember that feeling of this pilot, and then when it got picked up, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is a show. I'm definitely going to watch this show. It's only going to last one season because it's so weird. But that, when you watch this, it's sort of hard to remember that feeling of the pilot, because it just seemed like so different from what was going on in animation at the time. Because kids animation in the 2000s, I don't think was really breaking through the way it does now. Most people didn't really talk about it, to be honest. There's probably more videos and reviews about it now than there was actually at the time from the kids who were kids at the time, because people were mostly ignoring it. And this kind of transcended that. But basically the plot of this, it's also very early. It's sort of so early that, you know, obviously all the voices are different. Like, Finn's voice is different, Princess Bubblegum's voice is different, but it just feels very much like early season Adventure Time, a lot of high energy kind of craziness. And basically you have Finn and Jake are hanging out. Jake is meditating and connecting to the internet, and then they see Rainicorn, who they say it's I think they say it's the princess's Rainicorn is how they phrase it, which is interesting. Is freaking out, and they follow her, and then they see that Princess Bubblegum has been captured by the Ice King, and they have to rescue her, and they even say like it's adventure time and stuff like that. It's actually really cool. I like the kind of fun aspect to it. That's something that kind of never went away when watching this pilot compared, you know, from then to now, because watching it then, it just felt like this crazy amount of like funky imagery and things like that. I'm sort of trying to explain what it was like to see Adventure Time the first time versus watching it now, because I realize so much of my attachment to this pilot is from what it was then to now. But I think it's just such a, and I remember like watching it, you get this cutaway to Abe Lincoln. I remember thinking like, oh, that's the internet at the time, you know. I remember even rolling my eyes, because that was such a like a thing people on the internet would make, like Abe Lincoln random jokes. It does feel like haha random cartoon, but it felt like so much more promise than that in it. And even watching it now, I can see like the promise of like just this. It felt so different and alive. It felt like a pilot, like what happened with Trick Moon recently, where it'd be a pilot like you and your friends would talk about and want to show to each other and be like, oh man, this is really cool, and you want to draw Jake the dog and stuff like that. It had that energy in it, and I still kind of feel that way about it. It just feels like a kind of cool little snippet. It felt like a cool little snippet actually of what Adventure Time would be, and I like it. It feels a little simpler. It feels almost like Adventure Time more for kids than even the Adventure Time that we would get with Cartoon Network. It's sort of interesting on Nickelodeon, it's more for kids, and Cartoon Network it was able to kind of blossom into something more. That's been an accusation that people felt if it had been picked up by Nickelodeon, it wouldn't be what it was on Cartoon Network. Since, you know, that didn't actually happen, we're only really guessing, and possibly that's true. But I still think it probably would have been maybe sort of something, probably would have just been a cult show. And this feels like kind of a cult show sort of pilot. I still really love this pilot. I still remember that time when it was just like this funky little pilot that could never be picked up. And you get that energy throughout it. And it almost felt like at the time you're like, oh, of course they're not going to pick this up because it's so cool and different and weird. But it's almost like kind of gives you that peak. And I like the kind of simpler design of Jake, at least in this. I like Finn, the energy of it, and when they, you know, the idea of them like going on adventure felt like a 6-year-old sort of fantasy. And you know, seeing it now is different because you're more reacting to its difference from the show than you are reacting to how it was then. But it still reminds me of my intro to Adventure Time, in that I was automatically in love with it. And it's hard to watch this pilot and not fall in love with it and go, wow, that is an original, different kind of cartoon. And knowing the industry at the time, you felt like there's no way that can exist. But the fact that it did makes me a lot happier, because I hadn't watched it. You know, I think I watched it right before, the last time was right before the show got picked up. And watching it now is like, man, that is so cool that this happened. Because so many of these viral cartoons, like nothing would happen to, and you'd be like, oh, well, that was neat. And, you know, that's it. And, you know, I also like the end theme, the weird, like, kind of Like, I like the little end theme in the pilot. That's actually pretty cool. And I also like the different kind of Frederator logo. I thought was kind of interesting. Unlike the Frederator one that YouTube uses, not the one on cartoons. Actually, Izzy animated, by the way. Fun fact. But it's I really like the Adventure Time pilot. You should definitely check it out if you've never watched it before, because it just illuminates a whole world of what Adventure Time, could have been, or like how they're originally developing it and how different it felt. And also, I would say, kind of think of watching it without knowing anything about Adventure Time, as hard as that is. Paleo wrote here, Paleo, who's like the resident Adventure Time expert in the chat, said, alternate universe where Adventure Time was on Nick, but only lasted 2 seasons, but the virus didn't happen. Would you choose that reality? I would choose I'm sick of the virus, even though I love Adventure Time. Wow. Damn, Paleo, I didn't expect that from you. But I would say the Adventure Time pilot is kind of such a interesting little fun weird pilot, and it's still one I enjoyed. I enjoyed watching it over again. Some of the jokes aren't as groundbreaking and as special and as different as I used to feel like they were, but I just remember everyone on the internet was like, have you seen the Adventure Time pilot? And just thinking, like, when I heard it got picked up, I was almost in disbelief, to be honest with you. But it's such a cool, fun pilot, and it kind of reminds you like everything you loved about Adventure Time on the first watch, and how it just felt like anything could happen. And that's the idea of it. That's the thing I love about animation. It's just like anything could possibly happen in the pilot of Adventure Time. In the pilot of Adventure Time, which made you want to see more Adventure Time, because it gave you that freeing feeling that I think animation really needed at the time, and this pilot just displays that perfectly. Also, Ryan brings up, and he's been saying a lot, the voice of Ice King in the pilot is John Cassier, who's the voice of the Crypt Keeper. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Oh yeah, without Adventure Time, there'd be no pizza parties. That's true too. All right, so the next thing I'm going to review, you're probably like, why are you reviewing this? There's a specific reason tied to. So I reviewed Mallrats recently, and when Mallrats came out, I was like 12, 13 or whatever. And there was MTV did a bunch of programming. They did the MTV Mallrats premiere special, and they released it on a Saturday and only at night, and I couldn't watch it at night. And I remember they were playing it that weekend, but I went camping with my Boy Scout troop, and I was super bummed. And I thought, well, MTV replays everything; they'll replay this. They never did, and I could never see this special, and I always wanted to. And I'd search on YouTube, and it was never there. And then recently, when I watched Mallrats, I searched. I'm like, I wonder if that special's there, and it was there. And so I watched it. So 25 years later, true story. Because this is, I guess, sorry, sorry, that was gross. Sorry, I hit it. Anyway, I apologize. So 25 years later, I finally saw the Mallrats MTV premiere special. It isn't really good. It's kind of a weird snapshot of the 90s. Use the link I provided. But it's just so strange to me, this whole thing, because you get this kind of peek into the 90s. You see like Jay and Silent Bob have these wraparound segments throughout it, and they're trying to get into the premiere. It sort of reminds me of the segments, the hosting segments they made for MTV later on. They would actually have little like commercial break segments from Jay and Silent Bob in like the late 90s. This sort of gives you a snippet of that. It's a little dumb, but it's like kind of a little funkier. They have Kennedy, who was a host. I never really got the deal with her, like why people cared about her, why people were upset by her. People would always have opinions on her. Now she works at Fox News, so that's my opinion on her. But she's the host of this thing. She's not really that funny. She's just very quick, and I get the energy to it. But this is so 90s. It has like all the cast of Mallrats. It has a performance from Sponge, who, fun fact, is I think the drummer or something is related to Tom from the Round Table distantly. I always remind him of this because he told me, and I think it's cool for only me, because I'm the only one old enough to remember who Sponge is. And it has various 90s things throughout it. It's not good, but I would say it's a nice little snapshot of the 90s. which it's kind of weird to like watch something from 90s MTV that you've never seen before, because this is just like, you have Jason Lee with his weird haircut, you have Kevin Smith relaxing, hanging out with Kennedy, you have he was just like chilling, I don't know, having him interview like, you know, Jason Lee, and they have to introduce Jason Lee and say, well, he's really more of a skateboarder, this is his first role, and they have to explain who Jason Lee is, all those things. It just gives you like the idea of like the Mallrats movie that they thought it would be, but it's just so weird to see an old MTV movie special, especially one that I'd never seen before, of a 90s movie. Was equally funny. The only other celebrity they had in it was Nev Campbell, which that was interesting. And, you know, Stan Lee was there also. I would just say, you know, I finally got to watch this after 25 years, after missing it to go on some, you know, Boy Scout troop trip, which was fine. I remember somebody told me on there that they didn't think the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds were good, and they liked their work before. So that was the kind of energy I had there. But 25 years later, I finally got to watch this. So, you know, it's cool. I did learn from doing this that Kennedy is a conservative libertarian, and got into that from Kurt Loder, who gave her an Ayn Rand book. And I was like, oh man, Kurt Loder sucks. Cool. I needed that in my life. Thank you, Wikipedia and real life. It was just like, wow, the 90s did suck. I don't know. This was an interesting just like snapshot of what 90s MTV was really like, and what their movie specials would be like as well. And it was just like a fun little thing to go, oh cool, that was MTV in the 90s. And that's, I guess, how they covered Mallrats. They didn't have a lot of faith in it, because I think they premiered this on a Saturday. But if anyone has any other MTV Mallrats specials that I couldn't find, post them below in the comments. I would love to see them. But I guess maybe this is more of a nostalgic thing for me. It was just like a funky little way like MTV would cover things. She kept making like dumb jokes to movies. She actually said like, what was that other movie you made, El Mariachi? Ha ha ha. Because you know 2 independent movies? Whatever. This was just, I finally got to watch something from 25 years. I guess maybe I'm just telling people because I wanted to say I watched this, and now I did. And yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. If you watch this, I never got who Kennedy was. I was more of a Tiki God VJ person than I was a Kennedy person. I don't get her, but it was kind of fun to see that MTV aesthetic with Mallrats, which I'd never gotten to see before. And see, you know, they even do a bit on stink palming with Kennedy. It's hilarious. You know, this, I don't know, it's just a little weird blast from the past, and shows you like how they were trying to make Mallrats a hit movie, even though, you know, they totally failed. So yeah. All right. Was it worth the wait? No. But I did see it, so there's that. All right, so moving on. Final segment, and then questions. Tubi Recommendations. And then I have a video from Matt Berry, who thank you very much, Matt, for helping me do these Tubi recommendations. You should check out his YouTube channel and his new short, Scared Straight 2. No, Scared to Death, not Scared. You should check out his new short, Scared to Death 2, on his YouTube channel. And you should subscribe to his YouTube channel, because Matt is a great guy. But I want to say, Tubi is a different kind of streaming service, because you really got to search for good things, which is why I have Matt on specifically for Tubi stuff, because he is one of the greatest cinephiles I've ever met, and he can find cool stuff, and he did. But let me get to my picks first. I did search around, and there is cool stuff on here, and I will say, like, type in years, type in actors you want, you'll always find obscure things on here, and I did find some cool obscure things as well. So, Quibi recommendation. I did Quibi. Anyway. So one of the things that what I think I'm going to watch tonight when I do the time code that I found is they have Desperado, which is Robert Rodriguez's follow-up to his big indie movie. Coincidentally, since I just reviewed Mallrats, I'm watching a director whose sophomore effort people seem to like, actually. And I remember having pleasant memories. I don't like it as much as El Mariachi, but it's like a fun little action film if you've never seen it. They also have, and this is one of the great film noirs, used kind of like minimal cinematography, using kind of like one light in certain cases. T-Men. If If you want to get into film noir and see some really cool, interesting black and white cinematography, T-Men is really, really great. Then after that, Magic Mike XXL is going to be on Quibi. It said expired 4 days ago yesterday, so I think you have 3 days, and when you're watching this video later, probably 2 days. If you've never seen Magic Mike XXL, it's actually a lot of fun. These next two are kind of just funny things I found. Maybe you can call them recommendations. One is called Quarantine Relationship. It is literally a movie about COVID. It's about an undercover detective who's doing an undercover sting, and he's stuck with a psychotic suspect in quarantine during COVID. I don't know if I'll watch that, but I appreciate that someone has made a movie that quickly. As well as someone made Titanic 2 about a second boat going on its journey, and I like that it's literally titled Titanic 2. After that, this was a recommendation that Matt recommended me last time. It was called Cuban Rebel Girls, or Assault of the Cuban Rebel Girls. It was a really cool documentary about Errol Flynn's girlfriend at the time, who was really into kind of Fidel Castro and what was going on in Cuba at the time. I would recommend it after Matt recommended it last time we did Tubi, but I have watched it as well, and I can also recommend it. Also, they have Muppets from Space, which I reviewed recently. Thought I would bring up that one. As well as they have, which was a pretty good Milos Forman film. I haven't seen it in a long time, but they have The People vs. Larry Flint, which is a pretty good biopic. As well as they have the Dolph Lundgren film I actually watched last week when I was doing the time code and posted about it on Twitter, Silent Trigger. It's not a great movie, but if you need something on in the background that you can mostly ignore and see some alright shooting in there, they have Silent Trigger with Dolph Lundgren. I also watched Retrograde, which was really bad, so don't watch that Dolph Lundgren movie. I'm kind of in a tradition of just going through Dolph Lundgren stuff. As well as they have some obscure animation stuff, which I wanted to bring up. One of is Tom and Jerry and Friends. This is not Tom and Jerry the Mouse and Cat and Mouse. This is like two guys named Tom and Jerry that were named that before the Cat and Mouse. I'm completely serious. They have a compilation of those on Tubi. I thought that was actually pretty cool that they actually had that, so you should check that out. They have Mystery Science Theater episodes. If a streaming service has some Mystery Science Theater thing, I have to recommend it. One thing I will recommend is Mitchell. It is a classic episode because it's the final Joel episode, and then when Mike comes in and becomes the host, even though that makes it a big episode, Mitchell is one of the funniest episodes of Mystery Science Theater ever. If you've never seen Mystery Science Theater, if you're into Mystery Science Theater, or even slightly into it, I would definitely recommend this episode. They also have one of the classic cool cult movies called The Visitor. The Visitor, which was like a kind of a failed like alien, spiritual alien kind of movie. It's so hard to describe, but Alamo Drafthouse is one of those like right before Roar they picked up. It was like kind of like crazy movies you can't believe sort of thing. You should. It's a really cool cult movie, but it's so weird now. They're trying to make like an alien exorcist thing. It's cool. They also have the original Django on there, which is great. As well as they have Monsters, which is the first film from the guy who directed Godzilla, which is a really cool movie. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember being really excited for it. I don't think I've liked Rogue One or Godzilla as much as I like Monsters, but I did really like Monsters. It's on there. They also have Lion, which I'm only recommending because of the Tron 3 thing. So if you have ever wanted to watch Lion, it's free on Tubi. I should also add, which I didn't at the beginning, that Tubi is a free streaming service. Not only is it cool that they have this weird selection, but it is also free, which is also great. They also have a great Lynn Ramsey film we need to talk about, Kevin, which I also recommend. And then finally, they have the Heidi anime series, which I believe Isao Takahata and Hayao Miyazaki worked on, and I don't think that's very available in America. So I would definitely say check that out. Now, I'm going to go to Matt with his recommendation, and hopefully I won't screw this up. He has some good recommendations to check out, and I hope that you enjoy them. And thank you, Matt, for doing this.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry, and I'm back with 5 more of my top movies currently streaming on Tubi. My first pick is John Cassavetes' Husbands, an independent film from 1970. It stars Cassavetes, Ben Gazzara, and Peter Falk as 3 married middle-aged men who are going through a midlife crisis, and it follows their adventures from New York to London as they go through this kind of journey of self-discovery and where they are in their lives. It's done with an improvisational approach that really gets you close to these characters and is a startlingly honest and authentic film. My next pick stars Woody Allen, but this is a different kind of Woody Allen movie. It's The Front from 1976, a political comedy set in the 50s during the McCarthy era. Woody Allen agrees to front for his friends who are TV writers but unable to get work because of the blacklist. It's a very poignant and funny film, directed by Martin Ritt and starring the great Zero Mostel, as well as the supporting cast of actors who actually were blacklisted during the McCarthy era. Speaking of political films, my next pick is the 1954 animated version of George Orwell's classic story Animal Farm, a darkly satiric critique of communism in Soviet Russia told through the story of a group of barnyard animals and their revolution against a farmer and the power struggles that ensue. Now, what's unique about this version is that it was actually funded by the CIA to influence the American public's perception of Soviet Russia during the Cold War, but it's still a very effective adaptation of Orwell's story. On a lighter note is my next choice, John Waters' Cecil B. Demented. You gotta love that title. This is a comedy from 2000 about a group of cinematic terrorists who kidnap a Hollywood star, played by Melanie Griffith, who's on location in Baltimore shooting her next movie, and they hold her hostage and force her to star in their own twisted indie film. This is a very funny satire of the late 90s Hollywood movie business, and even of the Baltimore film scene, as only John Waters could tell it. My last selection is one of my all-time favorite films, Ghost World from 2001, directed by Terry Zwigoff. Thora Birch and Scarlett Johansson stars a pair of high school friends who begin to grow apart after graduation as they kind of go in their different directions in life and develop their own personalities and interests, and it's a very poignant and unique coming-of-age movie about that moment when you're really starting to discover and pursue your own path in life.
Hey, okay, there I am. All right. Sorry. So, okay, thank you very much, Matt, for the recommendations. Those are all cool movies, and I definitely like them. The Front was actually there's a Simpsons episode also called The Front, which I know was inspired by that movie. That's a really great one. Anyway, I hope you enjoy those recommendations. I hope you check out Tubi. It's a great free streaming service, so if you're hurting right now and want to watch a good movie, they have a lot of good ones. Also, subscribe to Matt's YouTube channel. He has a new short film. You should definitely check out that there. He's been a great friend of mine for a long time and an amazing cinephile. You should definitely subscribe to him, follow him on Twitter, all those great things. Anyway, I hope we gave you something to watch right now in the long month of August, and I hope that you'll enjoy some of our recommendations. Okay, so let's do some questions, and then let's get out of here. I have one Patreon question from Jordan Bouchard. Cornbread, I am very excited for whatever this thing is. This question is, I've built it up too much. He's already said it sounds stupid, but whatever. Alright, so Jordan Bouchard asks, what is your favorite Studio Ghibli film and why? That is a complicated question. It usually is Kiki's Delivery Service, because I just like the world that it exists in. But I go between that and Spirited Away, which is sort of like a major film for me personally. I just really just love... I don't know, it's probably between Spirited Away and Kiki. Kiki now because Sophie loves it so much, so I just really want to... I just love what it's trying to... The idea of sharing and her growing up and going on an adventure. I just love all that. And I sort of like that about Spirited Away too. I just sort of like the nice way it shows sharing and being respectful of people. I think Kiki does that better. So I hope I answered that right. Anyway, Cornbread. All right, where are you? Cornbread. Fun fact 2 and 2. Oh, do you have another fun fact? Did I miss the other one? What's going on? Fun fact 2 and 2. Once in the Rogue One commentary track, I'll link below an examples general on the Discord. Okay, so go to the Discord to learn more. And on Twitter, funny how many YouTubers Creech was reached. Tickles keep winning, I guess. What? I'm confused by that. Alright, anyway, let's answer some questions. The Sandal Flogo, did you ever watch the podcast you're not on? And if you have, do you ever feel bad you missed out? I don't listen to everyone, but I have listened to some, and I do usually feel bad I missed out. And I almost think of what I would say, so sometimes I don't because I don't want to make myself feel bad. But I try not to miss them. I know I wasn't on the latest one; it just didn't work out time-wise. I try to be on every one, but life. Paige Howard, what do you think of Kuro winning the court case against Bitch Hartman? I didn't know about that, but I'm sure. I'm sure that's a good thing, to be honest. I don't know I didn't hear about that, so I'm sorry. Austin, every time such a thing happens, you're part of the circus of Dr. Lau. Man, this is like late in the show, so I don't know if I'm going to get references right now. Sorry, question. Since Third Rock from the Sun is on Tubi, do you have any memories of it? Oh, I didn't realize that, Ryan. I watched the 3D episode and actually had the 3D glasses. So, and I used to watch the show a lot. I should try to watch it on Tubi. Thank you for that recommendation, Ryan. Zane Powers, Jim, don't you know that animation is just for stupid babies, and by making them into live action, that it can be enjoyed by adults? I forgot about that. Thank you, Zane Powers. Tannerlands, question: have you ever heard or seen Gregory Horror Show? It's a CG horror comedy from the CG horror comedy anime from the late 90s, early 2000s. It's a pretty good show. I'd recommend checking it out. That sounds really cool. I am going to check that out. I'm going to see a trailer later. Thank you for that, Tanner Lance. Not plausible. If you were on the Infinity Train, would Creech be your denizen? And how would you fit a monster truck through the train doors? Oh my god. That would be amazing. And I think we just keep driving through stuff, or Creech would just climb through and we just be Creech with the tentacles. I think that's probably what would happen. Jacob Shelter, Jim, what is the rarest drink? Sorry, that's YouTube, not you, Jacob Shelter. Jim, what is the rarest drink coaster do you own? I have to have the ones in the TNT with the Gone with the Wind included. I also kind of mentioned you on Twitter. You did? Drink coaster. I own a Hunger Games Mockingjay cup. I don't think I have that many drink coasters. I think I have some from the Phantom Menace, but anyway. Sorry. Zane Powers, what was it like being trapped in that Vietnam POW camp? Oh, it really sucked. It took forever to get out of there, I'm going to tell you that. Hey, what's up? It's Jim from Cinema Sam Satan. It's pretty cool. That's what's up. Ransom Film, will you watch Rodriguez's new $7,000 movie? I will. It wasn't coming up when I searched it last, but I was trying to look for it. I would like to watch it. I'm curious about that. Bloxy Oxenwinkle, how would you work Paul Blart into this Marvel Cinematic Universe? I would basically have, Captain America's, or he'd be in the Falcon Winter Soldier, and they have a fight in a mall, and he just drives up and goes, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he helps them. That's what I do. Not plausible. Did you see the recent episode of Amphibia with the Gravity Falls characters? No, I didn't, and I need to really get more into Amphibia. Question: do you build it up, Buttercup? Nice, Austin. I'm not a big Howl's Moving Castle fan, actually. Okay. Oh. Fun fact from Cornbread. Okay, hold on. What are we missing here? Can you tell us the exciting story behind how Warner Brothers bought DC? It's actually not... Have I told you how it's super not exciting? It's just hey, I think we bought this comic company or something. I think you know what... Yeah, okay. I've definitely said this before, that I looked it up, and it's the least exciting story ever. It's we bought this card company. I think they own DC. I'm oh shit, we own Superman? That's cool. Yeah, that's it. Favorite song in a Kevin Smith film from Sam Satan? I would say, actually, Suzanne. I like Suzanne at the end. Suzanne? I like that. Blood T, do you have faith with that Mega Man movie from the directors of Nerve? A little. I know they directed the pill thing with Jamie Foxx that's on Netflix. I haven't watched that yet. Question: can you tell me a bedtime story? Go to sleep. I already had to do that once tonight. Let's see. Blood T, do you have... let's see what the cornbread thing is. Popular online critics, Red Letter Media have mentioned the 2017 film Monster Trucks on 2 separate occasions. Once in the film Fuck You, It's January. Oh, and then, where's the... and once in the Rogue One commentary track. I'll link both examples in general on Discord and on Twitter. Funny how many YouTubers creatures reach. That's a good point. That's a good point. Thank you for that, Cornbread. Let's see. Question: do you think they should ever make a Scooby-Doo live-action show? You could, but I think it might be... if you did it, it's like a Riverdale thing, maybe. That could work. Okay, Disco Spider, what's your 5 personal essential movies to watch for any starting cinephiles? Detour, I always give, is a good example. Let's say The Road Warrior is a good one. I would say 400 Blows. Put that in there. Let's say a Buster Keaton, Steamboat Bill Jr., or The General. And maybe Cleo 5 to 7, 9 to 5. Maybe that one. Maybe Jaws or Cat People. Cat People. There we go. And let's do one more. Let's see. How do you feel that I'm allergic to cats? That sucks, St. Powers. I'm sorry. And Bloxy Winkle, what about Star Wars Detours? I think they should release that as well. I don't know why they haven't. I think that would be a good one. Anyway, alright, so that's it. If you did not get your question answered, comment below in the comments of this video or go to the Discord and go to the Ask Jim channel and ask me a question. Alright, so thank you all very much for being here. There's a lot of content for me this past week. I worked on a Saber Sparks video, which was the Baggy review. I'm also going to have a Baggy review of my own this upcoming week. I will also have a 12-ounce mouse season 3 review this upcoming week. Sorry, that didn't happen. It just didn't work out, so I put out the other one because that was done. What else? Oh, I made the Spyscape video on John David Washington. I was on the POS podcast. I put out videos of the Amazon Prime recommendations, which you saw in last week's show, with mainly movies. I did the review, the Every Nicktoon Show Ever, all that good stuff, and the Mallrats review. Check out everything. Oh, the SpongeBob anime. Lots of videos this week. Check them all out. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the support. You guys all have a good night. It's cool that Paleo watched Cat People this year. I like that. Thank you, Paleo, for being here this whole time. And I hope you guys all have a great night. And I hope to see you all next time. And subscribe. No? Maybe? If you would like to. Hope. No? Oh, okay. And subscribe if you would like. Oh, come on. Okay. Boggy? Whatever. Have a good night.